World Health Organization, close to 800,000 people die by suicide every year. Now, this means in every 40 seconds, one person dies. What you probably do not know is that this is prevalent in men than it is in women. December 29, 2015 will forever remain etched in Waweru Muthombi's heart. A middle-aged man who tried to take away his life not once but thrice. A day that he says changed his life for good, if not for the best.
Yeah, I remember that morning I did my usual. Then I was still a drug addict. I've done drugs for about 15 years. And I didn't know that was just a coping mechanism for depression and anxiety that I was suffering from. So, and many a times I'd reach a point where hapa nimefika mwisho. So that was the peak of it. That morning, did my usual, and I think I went paranoia. I started seeing people that were not there.
What began as relieving, exhilarating, and thirst-quenching sip of alcohol quickly became an addiction. Waweru could not do without a glass of alcohol for a day.
I didn't have any reason of staying alive. Went to a shop, bought a rope, came to the house, hanged myself, and that was it. I don't know how people knew that something has happened in the house, but somehow walikuja tu wakanitoa hapo, stayed unconscious chini for about 2 hours before regaining my conscious. And after that, it was a journey of about 3 months before I went to the hospital, admitted, and recovered.
Brian Maina's account of events is not any different. His struggle with depression started back in high school. He had been experiencing a lot of pressure with some personal issues at home, bullying in school, and his relationship with other students was basically not the right one.
I was really struggling with all these challenges. Grades zangu ziko down, niko kwa shule ya provincial school. Grades zangu ziko down, maparo wana expect a lot. Mimi niko shule na struggle na kitu hata sielewi. Kila time niko down, most of the times niko low. Niko na feelings za hopelessness. Na feel tu yani niko hopeless kabisa. And that's when I decided to attempt suicide. The only thing I had and I thought of using at that moment was my school tie.
Fortunately, Maina did not succeed in his attempts. Every time he failed in achieving his end goal, he'd become agitated. Later, he was diagnosed with a mental disorder known as bipolar 2, a mental health condition that causes extreme mood swings that include emotional highs and lows.
My parents are born-again Christians. My dad is a pastor. Yeah, they were trying to help me, but from perspective when you kunisaidia, it wasn't really helpful because apart from the spiritual support, which is a good thing, I needed the medical support part of it. Juu ile kitu watu wana ignore sana kuhusu ama hawajui kuhusu suicide, or having suicidal thoughts. It's a symptom, yeah, depression or any other underlying mental health issue.
Gumaiwa Ferdinand lives with bipolar 2 as well. He had a conclusive diagnosis of the condition in 2014. Gumaiwa depends on mood stabilizers every single day of his life. His mood fluctuates sporadically. Sometimes he could experience extreme highs or extreme lows.
When I was on a manic, I experienced hypersexuality. So this is the first time I'm actually saying this. I experienced hypersexuality. And I have a heightened level of sexual desire. And this time I met someone during one of my walks. I usually go for a walk in the evening. And somehow we became closer than we should have been. And I fell. It was hard for me. And because what resulted from that was a child. She conceived. And because I managed to cope. I managed to come out of that suicide attempt, and I managed to handle it through my support system, my parents and my aunt. I was able to handle this news that she was pregnant, and I was a father. I was going to be a father.
But before Gumaiwa could gain the title of a father, he lost his baby, and that loss also slipped him into depression.
What happened is, we go to hospital in Mbagathi. We went to the maternity, then we were referred to another section of the hospital, so I had to carry her. So I carried her, and I remember laying her on the bed, and I had blood all over my shirt. She also had blood on her dress. And my mother sent me away and told me, you've done enough. Just let me handle this now. So I disappeared into the dark, outside into the dark. Later my mom came and told me it was either her or the baby, and it's her. You've lost your baby.
So then why is suicide more prevalent in men than it is in women?
One, men tend to use a lot of most lethal methods to suicide than women. Therefore, chances of succeeding in that process are very high compared to women. Number two, men tend to keep a lot to themselves, and especially in our African setup, where we are told men should not cry, don't show that you are weak, you have to be strong. So in the process of keeping themselves strong and not crying, they they repress, or they keep a lot of pain within themselves. And now this is what happens later on now. It comes out because they cannot be able to help it. Talk even about financially. Look at the responsibility. Give a boy 100 shillings and a girl 100 shillings. In our society, you'll always find that men, it's like it's yours and your friend, but for the girl, it's just the girl on her own. And so we have been made to believe that men are providers. So if they cannot provide, then they feel they are more stressed. So there are so many factors affecting men to the extent of getting to that level of depression and even succumbing to suicide.
Suicide is a global phenomenon and is the second leading cause of death among 15 to 29-year-olds across the world, according to the World Health Organization. Counseling psychologists, however, say that it is preventable.
There are people out there trained like myself to help you deal with the challenge that you are going through. And it is okay not to be okay.
And indeed, it is okay not to be okay. And the only mistake you can make is not seeking help. Andreen Kilemi, TV47, Nairobi.